Welcome back. Okay, so now that I got the core drilled out in the lock, now I have to key up this Corbin Russwin interchangeable core. The keyway on this is 59A1. This is a 7-pin key blank. This is a 7-pin cylinder. Okay, so with Sargents, they're quite easy. I have a little matrix that tells me what pins to put in and what not. With Yale and Schlage, those are quite easy too. You can make your control key essentially just the same as your master key. Corbin Russwins are a little bit different. There is no easy way to key these up. I know if you go into their cylinder and keying guide, they give you a way in terms of determining your stacks of pin and figuring out that way. That's you can easily think too much about that and spend more time trying to figure it out than it actually takes to key it up. The easiest way to do it truly, I found from another locksmith, was literally pull the core out and you pretty much disassemble it to everything, or disassemble it to nothing, and have it so it's free. And then you have to physically go in and map the depths of the pins. Now, one thing to make note of is that the control arm is located over here on the left hand side, so you want to make sure that stays like that when you go to reassemble it. So we can get rid of this piece for now. Okay, so we got our barrel here. So when I'm saying map out the distances, I'm referring to put all your pins in for your change key and master key right up here, and then slide this over top of, and then figure out the distances with pins up here up top. There are a couple ways to make it easier and more forgiving on your keys. That involves using a countersink bit. It's called chamfering the edges, but you go through and you just put a little bevel on here, and it makes it easier for the top pins to slide over, so you don't have to get that where you got to jiggle the key to make it work. Doing this makes it easier to where you don't have to jiggle a key to make it work. But anywhere where you have top pins sliding over top of, it just makes it way more forgiving. Like I could do it over here. Also, take note, if you flip this over, you can see you got your first pin right here. So your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then seventh way back in the back. So when you're lining this up, you just got to remember that this starts at, did I put that on backwards? Yep, put that on backwards. Okay. You can see how this side's rounded and this side's more angled. The rounded side is the part that slides in and holds it in place. So I know that this part goes to the left. So anyways, this is the tedious part, but not a big deal. So anyways, I will be back in a second. I gotta cut some keys. Alright, so back to the tedious part. Alright, so alright, we got our keys cut here, and what we're going to end up doing here is going through here pin by pin and figuring out the exact distance it is. Second here. I can't seem to find my Sargent key gauge, but oh well. We'll work with what I do know. Alright, so I got a Schlage one here. Yes, I know Schlage is not Yale. But what I can do is it gives me a reference as to where to start looking for the pins. So in this case, this first cut comes out somewhere around a Schlage 2. Schlage 2 is 195 thousandths of an inch. So go up here, try it out. That one looks pretty good. Alright, so first one is going to be 195. And this is a change key, so we're going to put that right there. Alright, the next one Also about a 195. And that one after that is a 6. So we can do a 195, see what that looks like. A 6 and a Schleg is a 255 thousandths of an inch. That one in. And see, the next cut is past a 9. So past a 9 would equal somewhere after 300 thousandths of an inch. So let's start with, let's go 315. Other two alright so far. So that's 315 thousandths of an inch. So we put 95. We do a 255. Do a 315. Alright. The next cut is the 5th cut. And that's a 4 on Schleg. 4 is a 225. So we put a 225. And then the last one is a 1, which corresponds to kind of halfway between a Schleg 0 and 1. So that would put it between 165. So let's try 175. That sounds like a good number. Alright, all those work out pretty well. I know the deadbolt that's working in conjunction with this lock is a 6-pin, so I'm not even going to bother putting anything in the 7-pin or even figuring it out. So the 5 was a 225. This was a 175. Okay, so now we got those numbers mapped out. Now the fun part is, now we put our control arm over top. Line it up how you'd want it. Alright, put our control pin in. Alright, so as you can tell, we need to make a shear line here, here, and then fill in the distance up here. So with that being said, let's see, that one looks like, let's try a 140. No, let's try 120. Could go a little bit higher, 125. Alright, so that one's pretty good. So we got a 125, or 25. And then we got a 25. And 20. The next one looks to be probably about a 60, maybe an 80. Yep. Let's go with 60. That looks pretty good. And the last one, try 90. 90 works. Could go a little bit higher. Let's try 100. Yeah, 100 works really well. Alright, so now that we got those mapped out for the control arm, now we go back and we figure out the shear lines at position 1 and 6. Alright, so we pull this key out, pull the control arm out. those so I know which way they go. Alright, so we want to take position 1 out. So we know position 1, the shear line's 195, but we know the control arm for it is just a little bit higher. So what we have to end up doing, take that out, take the 6th one out. Alright, so now put our control key back in. Don't worry about all those positions. Okay, so alright, so this is probably a 165. Yep, 165. Alright, so to put it all together, okay, so we know the depth of the control key is 165, we know the change key is 195. Difference between the two is 30. So you put a 30 top pin in here. Alright, over here we got 165 and 175. Now, being that those are a 10, which is really tiny, sometimes you can cheat the distance and pretty much call it good at 170. So this one subtracts 5, that one adds 5, but in this case we'll just put a 10 wafer in there, just try it I guess. Alright, that being said, let's put these in here. Nope, I'm going to have to load those in. So alright. So now we got to put this all back together. And with that being said, control arms on the left. And go 3 in. Alright, so I'm going to put a tiny top pin in there. Alright, now got a 125. 125 is the green one. So put that in there. Oh wait, nope, working back, so we put the 120. Alright, then we put the 125 in there. Then we just got a normal one, so we just put top pin in there. Alright, now put another 60 in there. Alright, then 60. 100. And the last one is 170, so we'll just put one of these 180 top pins in there, and that should suffice. Alright, so if we did it all right, this should work. Control key works. And change key. Beautiful. So, I'm glad I did that. This is one of the more difficult interchangeable cores to work with. But nonetheless, all done. Alright, so now we take this, install it back in the lock, and put it all back together.